We're here today to talk about real estate.
Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Unlimited podcast. My name is Sierra Steinmetz.
Brian Schuby.
Carrie Steele.
Bill Jones.
And we're the Jones home team.
And this is episode 25. And before we get into what we talk about here, I got a little congratulations for you guys. We've hit episode 25. Guess how many new podcasts make it pass? Or give me an estimate how many they go. What's the run before they quit?
10.
Yeah, probably. I feel like we've been doing it a while.
15.
Five. So
because they see 2 viewers and they give up.
Yep, that's what it is. So I just researched that. So most podcasts, 50% of them stop after 5 episodes. So we're crushed that. So, all right, enough of that. We're getting into the BRRRR Method. Shub's talking about multi-generational housing. Sierra's got some days on market, price history, should that be on the market or not? And I'm talking about 6 bad habits agents should avoid. So who wants to kick it off?
Yeah, I can start.
What do we got? BRRRR
Method, yeah. So this is a couple of years old, maybe longer, because we don't know what we don't know. But this is one of those things where I feel like people have been doing it for a while, so it's starting to catch on. So I don't know what the longevity is of this, and I'm certainly not a seasoned investor by any means, but this is my take on it. So the BRRRR Method. So it's real estate investment strategy. Everybody wants to know what's the get rich quick thing. Everybody's trying to find that quick fix. So I don't know that this is necessarily a quick fix. This is going to be a slow and steady process. So it's for somebody who's looking for long-term investments. And just one more thing to add to their tool bag. It's not something that you're going to get rich quick or quick rich overnight.
Get rich slow, right?
Yeah, get rich slow.
You're still getting rich.
Hopefully that's the plan. So what does BRRRR stand for? Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So buying and rehabbing. And so the investor, and anybody can be an investor. We say the term investor, but if you have any type of investment whatsoever, you're an investor. Don't only look at it as somebody who has millions and millions of dollars. You can get started for, as low as $50,000 in something like this. So you don't have to, buy a 200 unit, complex.
Yeah, multi-million-dollar place.
Right,
yeah.
Right. To be an investor. So I say we're all investors, right? Because we're all in that mindset. So buying and rehabbing so that the investor purchases a property below market value. Keyword here, below market value. And they usually end up paying cash or using hard private money. And then they improve the property and go through the steps of refinancing, revitalizing it, renting it, refinancing, and repeating it.
So you just keep that cycle going then. You move into the next unit then, right?
And,
I think that's kind of the goal.
Obviously, people know about this, but there aren't as many people that are willing to do it or to take that risk.
Right.
People being scared or complacent or what if, that's what's going to keep you from moving forward in any situation.
Well,
I don't want to tell people to, what did you say earlier?
Don't bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah.
Don't bite off more than you can chew.
Come up with that on your own?
I did.
Yeah. All right. Good.
What were you going to say, Bill?
Oh, just as far as I think the misconception, people think they have to have $1 million to become an investor, start doing that. So that's why I was super jacked. You talked about doing the BRRRR Method. That's one I was going to surprise you with this. One of my favorite books.
I have that author on
actually,
here.
Actually, David Green. I used to listen to him and old Beardy Brandon on Bigger Pockets all the time. And he invented the BRRRR Method, as David did. And he was super proud of it. And he was a cop that used to live in his car, he had no money. And he started doing the BRRRR Method, now owns thousands of units.
That's
and
awesome.
literally just utilizing this method.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good books if you're interested in getting started or even just changing your mindset. There are the mindset, millionaire mindset, David Ramsey. I've got a couple other authors down here. But really just getting started and pulling the trigger, doing something is better than doing nothing. And if you fail, at least you tried and it didn't work out. But if you don't bite off more than you can chew, you should be able to recover pretty quickly.
Right.
And I think something like this really helps conceptualize. It's not simple overall, but it can be simple if you break it down and understand what you need every step of the way to make it a successful cycle then.
Yeah.
Being able to look at this piece by piece and then working through each chunk of that little wheel and figuring out what the what, why, when, where, and how of it all. So
Yeah, I think it's important, obviously to realize you're not going to get rich off of just doing this once. Like you guys said, it's a process. You're going to get 1 and then you're going to get 5 and then you're going to get 10. It's just a matter of staying with it and keeping with it then.
And a lot of the, self-made millionaires in real estate, I feel like a lot of them aren't just using the BRRRR method, but they're also selling their books. They're also selling their podcasts.
Sure.
They're selling their seminars. So just be careful about, what you buy into, because you're using investment money to do that. So educate yourself for free. There's a lot of information, just like last podcast, there's a lot of misinformation.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when you get 500 properties, then you can write your own book.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Well,
in all her spare time.
Yeah, but you see people in your community and you're like, they must be millionaires. They have all these properties, but they're leveraging that equity. Like we talked about before, they're leveraging that equity to purchase more homes. So it's not necessarily their money. Maybe it's other investors that are putting money in. What do you say about family? Like, be careful about investing with family, but there are certainly some really tight family members that you can trust, that you could, start something small and, and continue to build from there.
Yeah, and everybody they're not using their money most of the time.
Right.
They don't need 100% of the funds to put into this. It's usually using other people's money, borrowing it. And you do need to be careful with those hard money lenders. I mean, you kind of have to know what you're doing, because you can get upside down pretty quick with that. But I mean, they talk, I'll show it again too if you want to see it though.
Yeah.
David Green's book here. So the Buy, Rehab, Rent, Refinance, Repeat. I mean, he literally wrote the book on BRRRR.
Wrote the book on BRRRR. You're essentially, I would say, like, recycling your capital when you do that. The other thing too is, like you said, you can get stuck if you buy too nice of a house. Don't buy the best house in the worst neighborhood. Make sure you're buying something that has instant equity. We talked in our earlier podcast about not having this magical website that you can go to, but if you are tuned into your local market and you're going to auctions and you're keeping an eye on foreclosures and signs, you can do your own free investigation on what's coming up and what's available.
Yep.
And and try to make the best educated decision you can. Not any one of us, even if we were investing, we don't have all of the the information either.
Right.
But having the ability to take that first step and to try, I think that's one thing that everybody's missing, because it's so easy to go to your 9 to 5 because that paycheck's coming, that something is going to work out on the other end. With this, you don't know.
But you can do this on that note too. You can do this in addition to, so you can do your 9 to 5, you can do your side hustle, but you can still do this and have it working for you in the background.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, like you mentioned, get so hung up on the steps, like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. To me, the hardest thing is identifying the deal, because right now there's just not a lot of deals out there. Everybody's looking for those secret places to locate those. So if you can find an actual deal, the rest of it can come together. I mean, you can find, if you come to me and say, hey, we got this amazing property, we need to figure something, I don't have the money, somebody's going to do it. Someone like myself, Brian, somebody's going to jump in there and say, yeah, I'll help get in on that deal. And if you got the right price, if you got good equity, the rest will kind of fall into place. Doesn't do itself.
So
there's still work involved. But
the question is, like, how much money do I need? So like I said, I'm not a seasoned investor. 50 to 150 will get you started. But you want to make sure, and this is just based on my information that I've read, this isn't coming from me because I don't know, but the purchase price shouldn't exceed 70% of the the return value on your investment. And again, picking up a property that already has the good bones, that already has a decent has something going for it, and not just buying the only shithole you can afford, because that might not be the best option.
Right. So just to run through it here real quick, I think hard part's finding a good deal. The rehab, again, can be a challenge as well. We've talked about that before, whether you're doing the work yourself or you're hiring
Trust
that
your
stuff
people.
out.
Yeah. You can get ripped off pretty quick.
And then also, over improving too. You got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
For
are
real.
renting it.
For real, yeah.
Well, it's funny you brought this up, because Brandon from Bigger Pockets was just on another podcast I was listening to over the weekend. He said, don't be afraid to make something nice. I've heard a lot of people get burnt, you over improve, and it's someone doesn't take care of it. But there's not a lot of nice units. So if you make a nice unit and you screen your people well,
vetting your people, that's so
they're
important.
willing to pay a premium for something nice. And obviously renting it out.
Yeah.
The refi, that's a tricky part right now, is getting something bought with the interest rates where they are, refining it where the interest rates are. It's hard to make those cash flow, and then you can then repeat it then. So Yeah, it's an amazing strategy. Kelly and I are trying to implement that ourselves right now. We can't find a deal.
I know I'm not like
miss
optimistic and want to be like, you should do it. But at the same time, our parents, our grandparents, they did this when interest rates were higher. And yeah, there was maybe different properties to pick from at a different time and whatever. This is the time that we're in. And I was reading somebody else was like, nobody's making moves. This is when I make moves because nobody else is doing anything. So I don't want to say like go out and do it, but just don't be afraid to learn.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Am I yelling into my microphone?
Yeah, you're excited about it. I love it.
Excited about the BRRRR method.
All right, well, if you want to know more about the BRRRR method, I mean, you can just type in B with 4 R's, and it'll show up in a million different spots. So
Jim Pellerin, Brandon Phillips, Peter J. Howe, and David Dodge, and Mike Slane all have books for the BRRRR method, along with that David Green. And I mean, yeah, go on your.
I would 100% get the David Green book. I don't know what those other guys do. Yeah, it's good. That's because he literally is the one that invented the acronym for it and the process. So
I'm glad I didn't read it before this because I'm passionate now. Imagine had I had a whole book full of knowledge that I could spew into my microphone.
I'm going nuts here. All right, what do I want to move into next? Shub, you want to jump in your multi-generational homes?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can
pull up the graph there.
Yep, I'll try.
Yeah, just wanted to kind of talk about multi-generational homes. There's been a little bit of an increase in what that is. So for those that don't know, a multi-generational home would be like if you would buy a home with your parents or with a family member or, your adult children or move in with them. And actually, based off of data done by the National Association of Realtors, then that is up to 17%. So it was originally 14%, and that is up a little bit there. And then as far as, which is also the highest level ever recorded by the National Association of Realtors then, and then as far as the graph there, you can kind of see, what those reasons are, cost savings. A lot of people are moving in with their, having their parents move in with them or something like that just to help save with cost, or, healthcare, aging, as far as caretaking and aging. There's a bunch of different reasons there. So I just kind of wanted to show people, that if you are looking to buy, maybe it is a good idea to look, think of, the future. Hey, my parents are obviously going to get older in the future. Maybe it's somewhere, maybe we need to either look, or if we're going to build, maybe we're going to need to take that into consideration as far as, extra bedrooms, one level, those sorts of things then. So
I think that is a big concern for a lot of people. Again,
nursing
going back,
homes, they're getting very expensive.
Super expensive. And do you really want to send grandma, if you don't have to, that's, I always just think of Happy Gilmore when he's putting his mom in the nursing home and the dude's really mean to her. But we thought about that when we built then. Obviously, our mother-in-law or Kelly's mom just moved in with us for a little bit then too. So you kind of plan ahead. And same with we're planning on building a building at some point, putting an apartment in there, or grandpa, somebody can come stay there then as well.
Yep, and then also one of the other reasons up there, if you have your parents move in and you got 4 people's incomes all in one, that also means you can afford a larger house too, which means you can get more.
Oh, I didn't think about charging Sandy something. Dang it, I missed a golden opportunity there.
Those family compounds though look really cool.
I think that's such a cool
multi-generational.
concept.
Like if you did like a multi-generational home and then you did like a couple of other houses nearby, because what happens on a Saturday when everybody's, chopping wood or getting together for a potluck, everybody's right there.
Right.
And my in-laws are that way. They all live really close. My Southern Ohio family, same way. They all live, stone's throw. And, some days of the week, it's like, oh, that's, they're right there. But every other day of the week, it's like, they're right there. So, and especially childcare, that would be another one that would be great.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to.
Having extra set of eyes on your littles.
I just saw, there's a TikTok or something that popped up. I should have pulled it up. It said living on the family compound, finding a babysitter on date night.
Yeah.
And they pulled in, it was like this massive garage, and they went one way, like one side of this massive building was one side of grandma. Oh, no, we're going somewhere. And so they went right next door to the other grandma. Oh, yeah, we're sitting here doing nothing. And they dropped them off. So yeah, it was literally like this huge compound that they'd built. So it's a neat idea.
Yeah.
Getting that finance would be a bear, maybe. Yeah. I don't know what that.
I mean, like he said, multiple incomes. So, if you've got Social Security or.
Yeah, I mean, even if they're working at Walmart or something, I mean, some income's better than none, I guess.
Yeah. And then you think about, too, like what is that family with the Duggars or whatever, where they had so many, people.
19 kids accounting.
Yeah, they had so many people that could cook, so many people that could clean, so many people, and it's like, okay, I'm seeing some things add up for
I kind of like that.
For the good, yeah.
So that was, what was that, Shoop? It's at an all-time high?
Yeah,
Last year was an all-time high?
Yeah, it was 14% in 2023, and then it's up to 17% in 2024. So I would imagine it would
Cost of living
go a little
going
bit higher
up.
then.
Yeah, cost of housing being up, interest rates being up, nursing homes and maybe not being ideal, stuff like that. Yeah, I could see where they continue to rise.
Yep.
I
Hawaii.
didn't even know that was a thing.
Hawaii's been like that for a long time.
yeah.
Multi-generational homes. Yeah. I mean, the price of their houses were like $750,000. So
Right.
you naturally have,
Family
everybody living together. Yeah.
I
But
keep going back to that podcast. So Beardy Brandon, he lives in Hawaii from Bigger Pockets, and he talks about that then too.
Yeah.
Using the AUDs, like the additional living units.
Yeah.
And then he talked about the boxables that you brought up the one time then too. That being because the property bought was like $3 million or something
Right.
crazy. But it had 3, I think, additional living units in it. And he said, yeah, my parents are here for a month. I'm renting this one out.
That's
so
incredible.
yeah, that would be cool to where maybe they're not in your house, but they're close still.
Yeah, so I mean, it would just be one of those, maybe if you're like, hey, I need more space, maybe put a little in-law suite in. So, you can currently, if you got 3 kids, you only got a 2-bed, you can throw the other kid in there. And once they're
Sure.
older, you always got that space for mom and dad or,
Right.
in-laws or whoever, as far as if they want to come stay or if they want to, need to move in or something like that too. So
it may not be the BRRRR method, but you could rent it.
Yeah, you could
It
rent
may
it.
not be that whole thing.
Well,
but
it's
you
almost
could-
like they talk about
rent
it in
it.
this too, a house hack. To
Yeah.
where you're bringing more income into the house then, or if
Offset
you're
the price.
Yeah, a duplex, triplex, renting that out. So if there are more incomes there, then yeah, maybe you can buy a place and lower your costs
Yeah.
then too. So cool. Well, I didn't even know that was a thing, Shoop. Appreciate that. That's
That was a good one. Good topic.
it was all right, Sierra.
All right. Talking about removing days on market and price history, whether or not it's a good idea for listings and such. I know Zillow is a big one. If you just scroll down right past the normal info and whatnot, it had the price history, any price changes, sold, whatever, right there, which also you can find obviously all the sales of a place on an auditor's website or something like that. But for the everyday consumer that's just looking through what's new on the market and whatnot, I think it's kind of 2 sides of the same thing. It depends on who you're representing,
Right.
who you're in charge of, because if you're the buyer's agent, then you want to see how long it's been on the market. You want your people to know if this has been sitting for 120 days, and
That'll
they might
give you a
have
little more leverage for
power.
negotiations.
Yep, absolutely. But if you're that seller's agent that's hoping they don't see that it's been 120 days, then it might be good to just kind of keep that under wraps. Obviously it's not anything that has to be done, and I don't think it's a big enough conversation that's like, this is the way to do it. But
I agree. Yeah.
It's one of those too, as far as the days on market, because that property, a lot of times when on Zillow and stuff, when it shows days on market, it also includes when that property has been under contract. So if it was under contract
Right.
2 or 3 times for 30 days and has been on the market for 100 days, well, if it was under contract and then back on the market and then back under contract,
Yep.
then it counts all of that as well. Then so
But then it still has that stigma of like,
Right.
that it's
Something's
market
wrong.
for
Like,
100
what's
Yeah.
wrong with
yeah,
it?
No
why
fault of
are
the
people
property.
backing out? Yeah.
yeah, no
Same
fault.
with coming soon. I saw that because coming soon, it's not technically, like, it's on the market. People can see it, but nobody can get in there to see it.
Right.
So if that's a 10 or 12 day, 14 day lead, it's already been on
Adds
the
right
market.
into
It's
it
been on the
then.
market for 32 days. Well, but it's really only been on the market.
And nobody
for
could get in
2
there for the
days,
first
yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So yeah, the article, and it's an opinion piece then too. But yeah, I guess just to back out, put a pin in what Sierra was saying then too. So from the consumer standpoint, they look at that and maybe get a negative impression of the property. So should that be hidden? Should that be on there? And I guess I'm always a proponent of, I guess, just disclosing. People are going to find that information out. Like you said, they're going to,
Exactly.
the auditor site, they're going to see what it sold for. You're not going to be able to hide that. The days on market, things like that. They got into, yeah, sellers want as little information known as possible, hoping they can get a better price and push the facts down the road. The truth is out. Neighbors have a remarkable ability when greeting new arrivals on the block to disclose information that the seller may have wanted hidden. States like California, basically going to get sued. So they're sue happy there. I kind of edited the last part, but kind of summarizing a lot of that. Yeah, I don't think you're going to hide it.
Yeah.
If it's maybe not as readily accessible, great. You might pull the wool over some people's eyes, but at the end of the day, what does it matter? If it's been on the market for a day or 500 days.
If somebody wants it, somebody wants
Yeah,
it.
if the
Exactly.
seller's willing to sell it for X price and the buyer's willing to buy it and they're
Yeah.
happy with it, what does it really matter? But I guess it could hurt. I mean, if I'm buying, I'm going to say, well, the thing's been on the market for 180 days. I want a deal. But so.
Well, and that's the thing too, is maybe it's more a unique property or something that's going to take a specific buyer to find who's actually going to buy that. And they might buy it for full price, but you just have to wait for that person to come around. So it might be on for 60, 70 days, whatever, which sounds like a lot for some properties.
In today's market.
Yeah. But ideally, that still could sell for full price because you're just waiting on the perfect person to come by. Yeah.
Well, Sierra, you and I literally just had that. Unique property, took forever, but they still got the price. We just needed to find the right buyer
just
for
took time,
it.
Yeah.
So again, I think it depends on, there's all the what ifs, what the property is, what the price is, what the situation is, makes a big difference on how many days. But I don't know.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. Yeah, I think the information's out there. I think trying to hide it is
be.
silly at this point. I don't know what you're going to do with that. So what's your opinion, Sierra? Keep it on there, get rid of it?
I think, like you just said, they're going to find out if they want to find out. So, and it's the same as in the MLS, it will tell you days on market anyway. So if they really, really want to know, ask your agent. If you have a good agent, they'll know how to find that out anyway. So, and then same with price history. I do think that one is a little bit more informational, because if it is one of those ones that's been under contract and then not, and then under contract and not, that might be more of a red flag type of thing to look into further. But days on market and whatnot, I mean, it really just depends on the situation, the house, whatever else goes into it. Also, it could be a seller that's at a high price that's not willing to come down. Like they might have had multiple offers at even just slightly under asking, and they were dead set on that number, and that's why it's sat until
or
they
slower
get that.
moving. It might take them 3 to 5 days to get back if it's a trust or something. Like it might take them a while to get back, and every time something happens, it's 3 to 5 days, and that's gonna push everything out really.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. What's their motivation too? Like you said, if they're stuck on their price, then I mean, sometimes it's just going to be what it's going to be. So, all right, cool. I'll make this one here quick then. So I always like talking about from the agent standpoint. 6 bad habits. Now my computer's frozen now. Great. And how to avoid them. So we'll see what you guys' thoughts on these. Trying to do everything. So us real estate agents wearing all the hats, doing all the things. So the bad habit, especially with new agents, often try to manage every aspect of their business, from rentals to long distance listings, which spreads them too thin. So you're just trying to do it all. You're trying to make all the things happen. So a great agent, they specialize in choosing a niche. So whether a specific market area, client type of house, they like to think of outside and try and be the expert for that market. But again, for small markets,
I was gonna say for us that's hard.
For us, like we may have to drive an hour, but in a big city, that's just across town.
Or even, just trying to, specialize in, single family homes. That's even hard. Obviously, we have commercial and everything else.
Yep.
Yeah. So
and vice versa, because Bobby doing his schooling, they said you should try to stick with one thing. Like if you're going to do commercial. I'm like, but in Tiffin, Ohio, there's not enough commercial to float that entire.
Right.
If you mostly do residential, are you going to pass up on a commercial deal?
Correct.
If you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Why would you pass up on that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Depends on the market.
If you don't know what you're doing with it, you probably should.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you probably should give up that. That's. But a lot of agents, but you're not gonna. How else do you learn though? Too, just because you're not familiar. None of us were familiar with commercial or land or even residential stuff until you got in the business, and started doing it. So maybe reach out for some help with something like that. But I'm horrible about this. Being reactive instead of proactive. So I start every day with a great plan, every week with a schedule of things I want to do. But as we all
How's that
know,
work out?
yeah, horribly. You get into the office, the first email, first phone call you get just sends your whole day
It's
into a
usually scratched
tailspin.
by
Then
noon on Monday,
so bad habit. Many agents start their day without a plan, simply reacting to whatever comes up. Well, that seems like most my days. I don't know about you guys.
Those are my Wednesdays.
Yeah, right. What great agents do, they take control. They schedule their planning every day in advance. For instance, they may follow, I don't know what this is, but the 5-4-3-2-1 plan, engaging in a set number of conversations, calls, thank you notes, meetings, and outreach activities. Okay, that makes sense. So that'd be a great activity. So to ensure they're consistently moving toward their goal, which I think is a great plan, I think you could probably get that done in a day. I think if you had that pinned and you just made sure you did that every day, would probably be great advice. So I don't know. Your guys' day is the same mine? It just goes nuts as soon as...
It just happens
Depends
as it
on
happens a lot of the time.
Yeah.
The days that you plan are the days that go insane. You
Right.
almost have to have an open...
Right. I had my afternoon
agenda.
planned out, and then Chris just threw a hand grenade into that. Thanks a lot, Chris. So, but no. Scrolling without a purpose. So this is one I'm not real guilty of, but
I'm
I know
so
it gets a lot of
guilty.
people. So bad habit. Mindless social media scrolling can waste hours without any business benefit. So I think a lot of us could justify, like, I'm going to learn how to do something, or I'm going to figure, and then you're on whatever then, whatever random things popping up. So what great agents do, they use social media and with clear intent, engaging with their sphere of influence, researching effective strategies from other agents, tracking what content and resources their audience might want to see, and continue to refine that approach. So I feel like I try to do that. Like if I'm on social media, I usually am trying to be.
Yeah, you are good about that.
I think it depends what mindset you're. Is it in the evening and you're just killing time for entertainment, or are you, at work trying to be intentional,
Sure.
trying to find,
I guess I would think of this more like at work. So if you're, if you're, none of us are 9 to 5, but you know what I mean? If we're in the office during the day, trying to stay off of just that doom
what's the
scrolling
point?
and going through all that. But
And I know when you're on a kick of good ones because we get all these.
you get a bunch of,
whatever into the Slack line.
So it's usually early in the morning or late at night.
I feel like that's all of us. I do that too.
Yeah. That's why I blow my wife up with all the goofy things. She's just like, oh my God, get a life. So, all right, learning but not taking action. Again, I think we're all guilty of this. I'm definitely guilty of this. So bad habit. Attending trainings or watching videos is only half the battle. Many agents fail to put the new ideas into practice.
And you know what? We're working on this because our whole meeting last week, we said, all right, we're not just talking about it. We're actually going to do
We're going to do it.
And
Yeah.
it felt so productive.
We're on episode 25 of this podcast.
Right, yes. So
This was something that was
crushing that.
Yeah.
And again, you can't, nothing's going to happen if you don't talk about it first. But
Right.
just talking it to death doesn't do anything either. So what great agents do, they're systematic about their implementation, choosing 1 or 2 ideas each month to test and integrate into their business. The discipline execution is key to making meaningful improvements. So you had a great, what'd you say, slay one dragon at a time?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I immediately started doing that. Okay, we're doing our newsletter, and we're doing an email list, and we're doing whatever. And you guys are looking at me like you're insane, which I know I am, but yeah, Sierra had a great point. Let's just do one thing at a time.
It's
So
easier to figure one out and then let it snowball into the rest of the plans.
right, yeah, and start doing, and I know this too. You start doing something, implement it, get it part of your routine, whatever that 5, 3, 2, 1 thing was. Maybe do something like that. Make it part of your habit. Get that fleshed out.
But it's hard when you're on a good brain day and
Right.
you're like, okay, this, and this, and then you're like, all right, let's start 5 other things right
we're
now.
doing the things. Well, because again, going
Good
back
brain
to
day. I love
right,
that.
going into the scrolling, you see what other agents are doing.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be like, man, this agent's doing this office is doing that. We need to do that too. But you can't do
Then you
everything.
end up halfway dipped into
No
3
way.
different
Yeah.
things.
We
Yeah.
need to do us.
Yep. That's what's the one? If you chase 2 rabbits, you won't catch either.
Yeah.
So, and last one, I'm again guilty of this one. I don't know about you guys. Being blindly optimistic. Bad
Hey.
habit. Yeah. Relying solely on hope without addressing underperforming strategies can leave an agent stuck in a rut. So what do great agents do? They maintain realistic optimism by critically assessing their results. When they notice a dip in performance, they analyze the reasons, adjust their tactics, and take decisive action to improve their outcomes. So that's instead of the
Go back.
yeah, just being, hey, the market will be great, or when's a good time to buy a house today? Rates are going to come down. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. If you're not optimistic, I don't know how you're in this business
Yeah. No, right.
either. I mean, if you're just a total negative Nelly about everything,
Yeah, you'll. not
You're
do
done.
well.
yeah. Hey, let's sell your house, but the market's terrible. Rates suck. You're
Yeah.
never going to get this place sold. I mean, that's not going to get you anywhere.
You're
so.
probably not getting that listing.
Probably not. So I haven't tried that approach. Maybe I'll try that on the next one, just for
Maybe
something
that's
different.
the secret.
Yeah, just being
We just cracked the code.
Yeah.
negative as possible. All right, we've been chatting long enough here. Unless you guys got anything else to throw out. That's 25, guys. I'm excited. I was so jacked when I saw that 5 episodes. They usually fall off, and
Yeah, that's
we're at
awesome.
25.
I didn't know
So,
that.
I mean, that's basically almost 100.
Honestly, yeah.
We're getting there.
We're there, man.
All right, a lot of good info there. Yeah, the BRRRR method, I love it. Yeah, by the multi-generational stuff, I see that coming along here. That days of market stuff, I think that's just, it is what it is. The info's out there. You're better to disclose than not. And yeah, you agents, I guess, be optimistic and quit
Or negative,
scrolling. Yeah, or negative, whatever happens.
Whatever you want.
All right, that's episode 25, and we will see you on episode 26. Do all the things, like, share, and we will see you on the next one.